In this tutorial, we are going to design an analog clock. As you can see, the emulator here, this represents the second hand, and it changes based on the current second in the system. So before we start doing that, we need a little bit to cover a little bit about the coordinate system and also the math part of the design. In traditional coordinate system, reminding you that the x and y coordinate system, the origin is in the middle, which is the point 0, 0. And when you go to the right, x increases in positive values. When you go up, y increases in positive value. When you go left, x becomes negative and decreases. When you go down, y becomes negative and also decreases. We define this region to be quadrant 1, the left one quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. In appinventor, the coordinate system is a bit different. First of all, when you go to the right, the x value increases. When you go down, the y value increases. Remember, in traditional one, when you go down, the y decreases. But in appinventor, the screen, when you go down, the y increases. The origin is the upper left corner of the screen. Now, this means that if you want to specify the origin, then the origin is not 0, 0 anymore. The width of the canvas or the screen is 320 pixels, and the height is also 320. So it's very easy to see that the origin is 320 divided by 2, which is 160, and also 320 divided by 2 is 160. So the middle of the canvas or the screen is going to be the point 160 and 160. Now, if we go back to the design of the canvas, if the rectangle here represents the canvas, then the top left corner is the point 0, 0, x represented by 0 and y is 0 here. Then the top right corner is going to be 320 because the width of the canvas is 320 pixels and the y is 0. And if you go to bottom left corner of the canvas, the x coordinate is 0 and the y coordinate is 320. And if you go to the bottom right corner of the screen, is 320 and 320. Let's these two lines represent the y and the x-axis. The middle one, as we said, is the middle of this length, which is 160 pixels, and the middle of this line is 160. So the middle or the origin of the canvas is 160 pixel, 160 pixel. Let this line represent the second handle. Now, we can have the second handle of any length that we want. In this app, we are going to assume that the length of the second handle is 120 pixels. Now, when the second is any number, let's say 10 seconds or 20 seconds, it's going to make an angle, let's call it W, with the y-axis. Now you may wonder, how do I find this angle? It's very easy. We know that the second handle turns 360 because one complete cycle is 360 in 60 seconds. So if we divide 360 by 60, we get 6. This means every second, this angle increases by 6 degrees. So if we know the seconds of the system, we know this angle. Now, to find the x and y coordinate of this point, because we need this to draw the line on the canvas, we know this point is always 160 and 160. But this point changes as the seconds change. So we need to find x and y. Now, if this angle is W, we know from trig in math that this triangle is a right triangle. So I can use the trig ratios. I can say that sine W is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is 120 pixels. So we can say that x is 120 times sine of, now the angle W we just said is equal to the seconds times 6. So x of this point is just 120 times sine of 6 times seconds on the system. The same for y value. Y of this point is this distance, which is equal to this distance. Now in this right triangle, I know W is equal to 6 times seconds. And this one, using the cosine ratio, I can write that cos of this angle is adjacent, which is y divided by hypotenuse, which is 120. So I can say that y is equal to the cos of 6 times seconds. Now, we just have to modify this a little bit. Remember that x increases as we go to the right. So this formula is perfect. But y increases as we go down. The cosine of angle, when it is in the fourth quadrant here, the cos is negative. It's very easy to check it. You can use your calculator and you can find cos of, let's say, 100 degrees. You will see that it gives you a negative value. So to compensate this change of sign of cosine, we just have to multiply the y value by -1 and add it to 160 to get the end point x and y. And that's the only strange thing that we have to do, because the origin is on the top left corner and y increases as we go down. Otherwise, if this was not the case, and it was like the x-axis, then we would just add 120 times cos of 6 times seconds. So we know about the theory. Now we can go and start creating our app. So let's go and start a new project. We call it analog part 1, because this is the first part. We are going to design only the second hand. So analog part 1. Now we are going to change the title as usual to analog clock, because we are designing and drawing on the screen. We need a canvas. As we are drawing on the screen, I need to have a canvas. So to do that one, I'm going to go and drag and drop a canvas here. I'm going to set the width to fill the parent, the height to fill the parent. So this is my canvas. Now I'm going to go and start designing the program. Since every second I have to find the number of seconds passed, I'm going to create a new variable and call it second. The initial value you can set to anything you want, because it changes according to the time on the system. So I set it to 0. Now, one thing we forgot is that we need a clock, a timer on our screen. So I'm going to drag and drop a clock and make sure that the timer interval is 1 second, 1000. Now, whenever the clock ticks, I am going to clear the canvas. So nothing is going to be on the canvas. So I'm going to go and clear the canvas. The next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to set the paint color to be black. So I'm going to set canvas 1 time paint color to be black. So I'm going to drag and drop black color here. And also I'm going to set the line width to be 2. Again, this is up to you, whatever the width of second you want. I want 2. Now the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to get the second of the system. To do that one, I go to clock, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get the second. I need the current time, and also I need the second. So I'm going to get the second, and I'm going to put it in variable second. So variable second, this one here and this one here. Now based on the formula that we got, we have to draw a line from the point 160 and 160, which is the center of canvas. Now we need to draw a line from the center or origin of the canvas to the XY coordinate based on the seconds passed. To do that one, I'm going to go to canvas, and I'm going to drag and drop a draw line on the screen. Now, I'm not going to put it here at the moment, because by the time I'm finished putting all the blocks together, I get error message. So everything is going to be done outside, then I'm going to drag and drop it right in the middle of the timer here. We know that we are going to draw the line from 160 and 160. So I'm going to duplicate this one, put it right here, and type 160, duplicate it again, 160. Our X coordinates, if you remember, if I go here and show here that X coordinates 120 times sine of 6 times seconds, and Y coordinates 120 times cos of 6 times seconds. So let's go back to our design. So I need a multiplication. The first thing I need a multiplication. I need an addition. The multiplication is 120 times, so duplicate this one, put it here, so I just change this one to 120, and I have to multiply it by sine. So I go to math again, and I'm going to drag and drop a sine block. This is my sine block. Now the sine block also needs the angle. The angle is 6 times seconds. So I need another multiplication. So I go down here and drag and drop one multiplication. I need to multiply 6. So duplicate 120. So it becomes 6. And then I need the value of the second. So I get second here. So this becomes 120 times sine of 6 times second, and I have to add a 160 to this block. So this becomes 160. Now for the case of Y, I need subtraction. So I'm going to go and drag and drop a subtraction. Now, I need the same thing here, 160, so I just drag and drop 160 here. And this one, I have just to change sine to cos. So I duplicate this one, put it here, and just change sine to cos. And this, as you can see, everything is according to what we had before, which was here 120 times cos of 6 times sine, 120 times cos of 6 times sine, and everything is set. So now I can just drag and drop it right here. And that was all about our code. So now let's go and check our emulator to see how this one looks like. As you can see on the screen, the second hand is moving according to number of seconds on the clock.